Hello everyone, this is Manohar, Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I am going to explain you the concept of communication process in email process. Communication process in email process. So how we are going to send the email and how the emails are attached with files and the files will be sent to the destination or receiver side. So the communication process. So security services such as privacy, authentication, message integrity, and non-repudiations are usually provided by using the public key cryptography. So the communication process is mainly for the providing of services, security services like privacy, authentication, message integrity, and non-repudiation process. So these are all the security services that are used to communicate the mails, communicate the sender to receiver, communication process. So typically there are three different scenarios of email communication. There are three different scenarios of email communication. So how the sender is communicating with the receiver. So we will discuss the methods of achieving above security services in these scenarios. So how we are going to achieve those security services in the real time. So in real time, the mail, sender mail and receiver mail, sender mail and receiver mail. Those two sender mails having sent mails and receiver mails are having inbox mails. So all these mails are handled in the mail server. All these mails are handled in the mail server so that mail server can gives the access to accessing your mails. Mail server gives the accessing of your mails as well as the sent mails and the received mails. So here the communication process having three methods of achieving above security services. In that, the first one is what? One-to-one email. One-to-one email. So in this scenario, the sender sends an email message to only one recipient. So in this process, one-to-one indicates that what? One sender and one recipient. Only one sender can send message to the recipient. And the sender can send the message to the recipient with attachment as well as without attachments. With attachment or without attachment. So with attachment, the files, the drives, the folders, the compressed files, anything can be attached to that file attachments and then sent to the recipient side. And similarly, recipient also having the same feature is having to download the attachments as well as read the messages. So sender consists of what? Sender sending message as well as attaching file. Attaching file. Similarly, recipient also downloading the attachments, downloading the attachment as well as reading the mails, or else opening the mail. So how the one-to-one communication process involves actually. So the sender consists of user agent, sender consists of user authentication and the recipient also having the user authentication. If the sender and receiver are authenticated, if sender user ID and recipient user ID are authenticated, then only they can able to forward the mails to the recipient. Then only they can able to forward the mails to the recipient. But in between them, the user authentication, after completing of user authentication sends a mail with or without attachment to the mail transfer agent. So here MTA stands for what? Mail transfer agent. So mail transfer agent receives this mail or else mail transfer agent sends this mail to local MTA. So here the local MTA acted as a protocol. Local MTA is acted as a protocol which is SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So this local MTA is nothing but what? A protocol, and that protocol is what? SMTP protocol, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So now the sender having the message and the sender attached to the file, a sender sends, sender authenticated. Now sender can able to send the mail to its local MTA. So this part is for local MTA, local sender, and this part is for what? Receiver MTA. So now the local MTA sends this email to forward this email to another MTA, which is from the recipient side. So now from the sender side, local MTA is there, and from the recipient side, local MTA is there. So here the sender and recipient cannot access directly. Sender and recipient cannot able to contact directly, because in between them mail transfer agents are there. Mail transfer agents are there. So mail transfer agents can forward the mail or receives the mail from the user is authenticated, from the sender or recipient. So now sender sends mail to the local MTA, that is sender MTA, and this sender MTA sends mail to recipient MTA. Recipient MTA. Now recipient MTA retrieves this message with the help of this POP and IMAP protocol. So POP stands for what? Post Office Protocol. Post Office Protocol, which is especially for the attachment of files, and IMAP stands for what? Internet Message Access Protocol. Internet Message Access Protocol. So now the sender sends mail to the recipient MTA, and recipient MTA sends this mail to user authenticator from the recipient side. User authenticator from the recipient side. Now recipient receives that mail and opening that mail. So this is the way of the process, having from the one-to-one email communication process. So here let us assume a sender wants to send a confidential mail. So we can write mail in two ways. We can write mail in two ways actually. One is normal mail, writing or sending normal mail. One is writing and sending normal mail. Second one is writing and sending secure mail. Writing and sending secure mail. So normal mail cannot have any security features. They can able to directly send mail to the recipient side. But secure mail, we have to write the secure mail with the help of some security services, with the help of PGP enabled services. With the help of PGP enabled services, so that the user can able to generate encryption key as well as decryption key to encrypting and decrypting the file. Because they are going to write a secure mail, right? So for doing that security mail, for writing that security mail, they have generated this encryption key as well as decryption keys. So now here let us assume that a sender wants to send a confidential mail to the recipient. So sender wants to send a confidential mail to the recipient. The provision of privacy in this case is achieved as follows. So here we are going to achieve the privacy mechanism, that is confidentiality mechanism is achieved as follows. So how we are going to achieve? You can look at here. The sender and receiver have their private public keys. Sender and receiver have their private public keys as private session key, public session key. So private session key, private sender key, and a public sender key. And similarly, recipient private key as well as recipient public key. Recipient private key as well as recipient public key. The sender generates a secret symmetric key which is called as KS for encryption purpose. Now sender and receiver have their public and private keys. One is what? Private sender key, and the second one is what? Private public sender key. And similarly, private receiver key, public receiver key. Now sender generates a secret symmetric key which is KS for encryption. So the sender could have used receiver public key for encryption. A symmetric key is used to achieve faster encryption and decryption. So the sender encrypts message with symmetric key KS and encrypts KS with the public key of the recipient or recipient public key. Now sender sends encrypted message and encrypted KS to the recipient. So now he send encrypted message or encrypted mail to the recipient side. The recipient first obtain key. The first he obtain what? First obtain key which is generated by decrypting encoded KS using this private key, using his private key which is private receiver key. Now the recipient then decrypt the message using the symmetric key KS. So sender is sending with the encryption key and receiver is received and decrypted with the decryption key. So for the sending purpose, you can encrypt it. The file is encrypted, the data is encrypted using encryption key. And now after receiving at the receiver side, the receiver can decrypt that message with the help of decryption key. With the help of decryption key. And next one to multiple recipient emails. One to multiple recipient emails. So in this scenario, the sender sends an email message to two or more recipients. Two or more recipients. So here one sender is one, that is A, and receivers are B and C. So he is going to send one or more recipients. One or more recipients. So the list is managed by the sender's email program. The list is managed by the sender's email program, which is user authenticated plus local MTA. User authenticated plus local MTA. And all recipients get the same message. All recipients get the same message. So here the message is same. Message is same, but recipients are different. Recipients are different. So recipient 1, recipient 2, recipient 3. But the message is same. Common message has to send for all the recipients. So sending a common message to all the recipients. So for that, what they are doing, first of all, sender initiate that sending of mail, which is authenticated by user authentication. The next, this message has to be forwarded to the local MTA. This message has to be forwarded to the local MTA. Now, local MTA understands that the recipient's addresses, recipient addresses. So recipient 1 address, recipient 2 address. Now, this local MTA forward that mail to the local MTA of the recipient 1, local MTA of the recipient 2, local MTA of the recipient 1, local MTA of the recipient 2. So, those two recipient mail transfer agents can receive the mail from this local MTA. Receives the mail from this local MTA. Now, this mail got verified and authenticated from the recipient authentication. So, once that message is authenticated, once the message is verified, then the message is received by the recipient 1 and recipient 2. The message is received by the recipient 1 and recipient 2. So, here we are providing what the services we are providing here. Authentication is one service and confidentiality is also one service, because we are writing a secure mails. We are writing a secure mail. So with the help of this local MTA, we are forwarding that mail to the recipient 1 and recipient 2. Forwarding the mail to the recipient 1 and recipient 2. Now this local MTAs of recipient side are going to be forwarded that mail to the recipients. Now recipients got all the messages in their inboxes. And the third one is what? One to distribution list email. One to distribution list email. So in this scenario, the sender sends an email message to or more recipients. But the list of recipients is not managed locally by sender. So all the list of messages